Now, let's begin by telling you that the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has ordered an investigation into allegations of the Nigerian Police Force culpability in the deaths and arrests of protesters during the August End Bad Governance nationwide protest. Amnesty had, in a briefing published a few days ago, accused NPF of using excessive force against protesters during the nationwide End Bad Governance demonstrations between the 1st and 10th of August, killing at least 24 people in the states of Borno, Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, Jigawa, and Niger State. In a briefing titled Bloody August, Nigerian government's violent crackdown on End Bad Governance protests, Amnesty said those killed included 20 young people, an older person, and 2 children. Responding in a press release by NPF's Public Relations Officer ACP Olumiyiwa Adejobi in Abuja on Monday said the allegations appeared falsified and confusing, adding that Egbetokun had ordered an investigation into the matter. Now, to discuss this, we are joined by Co-convener Coalition of Civil Society Organizations, Declan Ihekaire. You're welcome, sir. Good to have you here with us.
Thank you so much.
So, sir, let's first of all find out what your thoughts are regarding the investigation that has been ordered by the IG of police regarding the killings of the 24 people in the August End Bad Governance protests.
Thank you so much. I will be speaking to this issue as an authority who was part and parcel of the End Bad Governance protest, most especially here in Lagos. I will start by saying the IGP ordering for investigation is something that I will address like an aberration. Who is to investigate? Is it the same police that denied the brutality? Is it the same police that said that protesters should be dealt with? Is it the same police that said permit must be taken before you go on peaceful protests? That want to investigate what? To investigate who? To investigate the protesters, or to investigate those who investigated the protesters and charged them for treasonable felony. And for the first time in the history of this country, I've never heard and never seen where treasonable felony has been so much trivialized. And it's been trivialized under this current IGP. It's the same IGP who was on seat and juveniles were arrested, sent to prison, and were in a ceremonial mood, released after outcry by Nigerians and people outside this country. The same IGP. For me, I think the IGP should be investigated by a higher body, and that is World Court. World investigators should investigate him, because he doesn't have, you can't sit on your own case. It is true fact that Nigerians were molested. It is true fact that people were arrested, taken to prison, charged for treasonable felony. While I talk to you today, some of my comrades are still undergoing trial for treasonable felony in this country, all because they engaged in peaceful protest. One was actually being charged for treasonable felony because he has a name that sounds like a Russian, Lenin. And it's quite unfortunate. So my question is, who is the IGP to investigate? He wants to investigate himself, or he wants to reinvestigate the protesters who had already been investigated by his men? So for me, I think an entire body, new body should be created for that investigation, not for the police to sit on that investigation. But for me, again, Amnesty spoke the right thing. They were actually truthful in what they have said. However, Lagos protest was relatively peaceful because of the understanding of the officers in charge, most especially the current AIG of Zone 2, former CP of Lagos State, Kayode Mustafa. He was on top of the game during the August protest and October protest, not minding the overzealousness of some of his men who also misbehaved. Okay, I also read in that report where the police was saying that they gave the protesters maximum security that will witness our people being brutalized in Ojota, even in the presence of the police officers.
So you've actually answered most of the questions that I had for you this evening regarding the conduct of the IGP and the conduct of the police. But I'm still wondering, if the police are to be investigated, under what policy and regulations would they be investigators? Do we have a police regulation that guides the police in these kinds of instances, engaging protesters?
That's where you have the National Human Rights Commission. But the case of National Human Rights Commission now is a case of who pays the piper, dictates the tune. And so I'm aware that some of my cadres in the civil society has written to international arbitrators. They have written to the World Court to actually look into what transpired. And that's why I'm still pushing that the IGP does not have the moral stand in this instance, most especially the release, the arrest, detention, incarceration of those juveniles. It's a slight on the police authority because they were not sent to prison by vigilante groups. They were actually arraigned, prosecuted by police prosecutor, being supervised by the IGP. What I expect the IGP to be saying at this point in time is to say, oh, fine, people were brutalized. Who were the officers who actually did this and this and this, and start punishing. I always keep on saying this as a veteran in activism. Look, no protester goes to protest to destroy. No protester goes to protest with a matches just to ignite fire. No. It has always been an attack on the protester by state agents. Most of the time, the police, the overzealous officers. It would have happened in Lagos if not for the fact that the then CP, Kayode, who is now the AIG in Zone 2, was able to control the situation by telling his men, don't be overzealous. I overheard some of them saying, let's tear gas them, let's fire, let's do this, let's do that. And he kept on telling them that. And I told him also, I said, if you allow your men to be overzealous, when they fire one canister, the protesters will revolt. And that was exactly what happened in other states. And I keep on saying, no protester goes on protest to destroy.
Okay, Mr. Ihekaire, now let's talk about this, the fact that during a protest there's chaos. And because of that chaos, it is very difficult for you to actually round up, in the case of an investigation, witnesses. So if the IGP is calling for investigation of perhaps police officers or teams that were engaged in these killings of 24 people in the last August protests, how do you think that it would be possible to get witnesses for these cases?
The IGP is already a witness to have released those juveniles. The question is, who arrested the juveniles? Who arraigned them? Why were they in police custody for 90 days? Was that not against the rights of those juveniles? Who charged them for treasonable felony? Those are enough ground for the IGP to do the needful. If he claims that, oh, he's not aware, as at the time the act was being perpetrated, but he's not aware that based on public outcry, genuine public outcry, people were asked to leave the prison custody. And they were welcomed with Ashwebi. To date, we don't know how much that Ashwebi cost Nigerians. And I'm saying, enough of all this. The IGP already has the fact before him that people were arrested, even because they have a link with a name that sounds like a Russian name. That has become an offense for charging somebody for treasonable felony.
Wow. I want to say thank you very much, Mr. Declan Ihekaire, for giving us your 2 pence on that story. Thank you indeed.
Welcome.